but I want to talk about this tweet from Richard, and I will drop it in the chat. So you can click on it if you wish. So this may look like a screenshot of PulseChain v3 testnet interface, and you'd be correct. And it may, what you maybe pay attention to the most is the, these words, which are, I'll go through and we'll figure out what they are, but there's a lot more in this than just even his words. So first of all, he describes these as the 4 PulseChain clients. Now, what does that mean? What is a PulseChain client? What is an Ethereum client? So we'll talk about that. Also, he says, here's a screenshot of the testnet beacon explorer. So we see there's different tabs: PulseX, PulseChain, PulseRamp, which is the bridge. It used to be Pulse Bridge. It goes back and forth between Pulse Bridge, PulseRamp, and Sacrifice Checker. And this is he calls it Beacon Explorer. So I did some research, and this is what I'm saying, more than what he said in the tweet I'll be going over. I think I found which one that is forked, which Beacon Explorer that they're using. And also, I can talk about a couple other things that are interesting about this. But first, let's go to the clients. That is the big thing. That's what I made the tweet on, about figuring out what it is. So first up, Go Pulse. So I'll drop this link in the chat as well. Now, Go Pulse. What is Go Pulse? So it's the PulseChain fork of the Ethereum node. So there's Go Ethereum and there's Go Pulse. So it's just a fork of the Ethereum node. Now, we switch from proof of work to POS. So now I'm not sure, if you go down to the repo, they have repo holds a fork of Ethereum Go on the Binance Smart Contract. Maybe, they talk about proof of stake stuff, but this doesn't look as updated or official, at least. So there's stuff happening on these repos. But essentially, think of that as the node, the code, the participant in the network. And we'll talk about more like node versus validator as well. So Go Pulse, very simply, is the node. People run a node to participate in the network. And let's see if I have there's a diagram. I want to try to use some diagrams. I don't have too many diagrams, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Yeah, so just going to Go Ethereum. We can see, Go link execution, implementation, which geth. So PulseChain clients, right? Sorry, let's get back to PulseChain clients. I went to the node software because it was first, but I want to talk about the clients. So the clients, we'll go back to this tweet: Go Pulse, Pi Prism, or Prism Pulse, Erigon Pulse, and Lighthouse Pulse. Okay, so what are these? So Geth is an Ethereum client, and there's 2 different kinds of Ethereum clients. There's the execution client, which you just needed in proof of work. That was fine. But now we have the consensus client. 2 different kinds. The 2 most popular execution clients are Geth and Erigon. And the 2 most popular consensus clients is Prism and Lighthouse. And there's like 4 different ones of each one, but those are the 2 most popular, and probably, or relatively speaking, or at least they're popular enough for us to be using them for Pulse. So Vitalik's like, okay, we're doing it at the ETH 2.0. Here's the spec: community, go write consensus clients for the new protocol. And that's where we'll go over here. I had something on there. But essentially, there was a bunch of people. Let's see. Where's the one? I want to go to the screen that shows the different ones you can use. See, validator clients. This lists Geth, Erigon. So Geth and Erigon as execution clients. Yeah, here you go, right here. And consensus clients: Lighthouse, TechU, Prism, Nimbus. So you have these different ones and these different ones. So Vitalik's like, okay, we need consensus clients. So go write some stuff. And the community was like, okay, we're different companies. Okay, Lighthouse, Deku, Prism, all these are community-based projects or different companies that are coming up with these consensus clients for ETH 2.0. So if you just want to run a node, you can set up a server and only run execution client, such as Geth or Erigon. If you just want to be a node or a beacon node, I guess in ETH 2.0. But if you want to be a validator, you need to run a node that has both an execution and consensus client running, such as Prism or Lighthouse, and stake 32 ETH so you can earn rewards. So that's the difference in node and validator. One is just running execution client and you're just helping secure the network. And the validator, you're running both execution and consensus clients and you're earning rewards and you have the stake there as well. So when Richard says these are the four PulseChain clients, that's what he means. He means PulseChain has picked Erigon and, well, I guess when he says go Pulse, he's implicitly saying Geth in that, I would assume. And and with the consensus clients, we picked Lighthouse and Prism. So, and I'll look at the chat here in a minute and questions. I just want to get through a few things here. Let's see. So that's what those things mean. Hope that's clear. I don't really have a lot of great diagrams to show you all. I was literally trying to find some, but I only had a couple hours to figure all this stuff out to bring you something useful. But they not have. I mean, this one you can see Lighthouse being a consensus client. Now you could replace Lighthouse with Prism here. Should work pretty much the same way. You have other beacon chain nodes. Your chain node appears with them. Then you have validator. If you're doing validation, you have your stake there, earning rewards, keys. You got generate keys and everything associated with that. And you have the execution client, and that also appears with other execution clients. This is the Ethereum mainnet, and PulseChain should be pretty much the same as far as this stuff goes. So that is the 4 PulseChain clients. Hopefully that is clear what those mean. And now let's look at the other couple of things. So the bridge, for example, Pulse Ramp. Let me pull up something on it. See, some of this stuff, since PulseChain changed, well, it may not be updated or exactly the same. But essentially, the bridge is how you can bridge coins over from Ethereum to PulseChain. It may be a fiat on-ramp thing. Maybe that's a feature as well. We're not sure. But essentially, just a basic level, you have the bridge. You can take your coins on Ethereum. You can take your ETH. You can bridge over to PulseChain. Now, okay, it's taking a while. Let me just go back to here. Now, why would you want to do that? I need to get some better answers. I need to get some elaboration. Hopefully I can have somebody on the show to literally go through, and I put a tweet out too, like, give me all the most profitable scenarios for bridging coins over. I want to understand more about this too. But basically, you can back up PRC20s, and especially in the liquidity pools, you can, if you want to bridge stuff over, you can increase liquidity. So it makes trading easier. Maybe you can earn fees and stuff. And then if you actually want to use some of the token protocols that would be available and running a PulseChain, you're going to have much cheaper fees, right? Because it's running on PulseChain now. Assuming, if we get like Decentraland running on there, that'd be awesome, because that's one of the big problems with Mana and Decentraland is the fees are so crazy on Ethereum. So if they supported PulseChain, that would be cool. So, and then the price. So again, backing up the PRC20s, if you bridge coins over, you can have more backing for the price. And again, it goes with liquidity. And again, some of the exact scenarios I want to do a stream on and figure and be able to elaborate and go into like, okay, here's exactly how you do this and that. But essentially, that's why you would bridge coins over. Very generic, basic version of that. So we have that. We have PulseRamp. So that's one of the things in the screenshot here, PulseRamp. And the last one that I want to talk about that he didn't elaborate on in the tweet, but you can see here is the Beacon Explorer. And I think I've found, let me see. So it looks like they're using beaconcha.in, which is Beacon Chain. I'll show you. If you look at the two, it looks basically exactly the same, other than the UI is completely different, obviously. So if you see here, you got slots, epoch, you got a space here, search box for public key and block hashes to look stuff up. And you have all the graphs and stuff here for the validators, and you have the most recent epochs, most recent blocks. If you look at the tweet, pretty much exactly the same, except there's a PulseChain UI on it. You have the epoch, you have the slots, you have the search here, you have the graph validators, you have the recent epochs, you have the recent blocks. All the same stats are there. So they are using, let's see, GitHub. They're using the GoBitFly ETH2 Beacon Chain Explorer. That appears to be what we're using on PulseChain as well. I'm not sure. I heard people talk about that. Maybe Richard's mentioned it, maybe he hasn't, but that is something that I noticed, and I did some, just clicking around like, oh, I wonder what they're using. So it looks like we're using this repo. We forked this repo, it seems like, in order to have the Beacon explore and be able to view stats about validators and blocks and all kinds of the staking stats and searching for basically a block explorer in a lot of ways. So that was cool. And then I'll mention one other thing too, and Richard has sort of mentioned Grafana, but I don't know, I mean, how useful it's going to be to talk about Grafana and PulseChain, but Grafana is something that validators may be using, nodes and validator operators may be using. It's just for metrics and logs and observability, essentially, very popular in the tech world. And this may be something that they're using, or a similar product, to try to figure out stats about the different nodes and validators when you're running them on your own. Also, very excited to see Synergy, Alex from Hedron. He wrote a tweet, I believe, talking about maybe making a device, like a node that you can just plug in, you set it up like a router, do a couple configuration, and now you can further decentralize PulseChain just by having like a validator in a box type of thing, or a node in a box type of thing. Fantastic. Very, very fun and exciting. So if you were sad about PulseChain and why it hasn't launched yet, and all of this, look at all the stuff we had to fork. It's not just copy and paste Ethereum. We've had to fork and write new code to make a lot of amazing stuff work. And it's very technical. That's why when devs are doing dev stuff, they're doing dev stuff. So just want to go through a little bit of that. Again, the GoPulse, the Prism, Lighthouse, and go back to the suite, and Erigon. What do they mean? Block Explorer, or Beacon Explorer, the PulseRamp and bridging. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of the highlights of this tweet, of the screenshot, and what the next testnet v3 is going to look like. So very excited about that. Now that I've got